So my name's Tony. I work with Aberdeen Broadcast Services. I'm one of the accessibility specialists here, and my focus is primarily on schools, higher education, colleges, and universities. Today, I'm going to answer one of the questions I get the most, um, since I'm working with closed captioning, is remote captioning. I will talk to a college and they'll ask, hey, how do we set up remote captioning? So the stenographer or the live writer doesn't have to actually be there in the classroom. And since there's a bunch of different ways to do that, he decided to bring in a specialist, somebody from California Baptist University, to kind of explain how she got the campus set up, what equipment they use, how they got the faculty to buy in, how the students actually view the captions, and how Aberdeen gets the audio from there. So I will be bringing Amiyah Lee from CBU here in a couple seconds. And of course, we can do a webinar without actually providing remote real-time captioning for it. So for those of you who want to access the captions, you can click on the button on the bottom of the Zoom screen. And one of our live writers or live captioners, Jennifer, will be providing remote captioning throughout the duration of the webinar. And before we get to meet Amiyah, I would like to just show a few statistics about closed captioning and the benefits it has, not just for students who are deaf and hard of hearing, but for pretty much any student in general. So one of the first stats I found was from Frontiers in Neuroscience, and they found that nearly 1 in 5 college students in the US experience some degree of hearing loss, which I thought was a pretty significant number. Another study from Oregon State University found that students who used closed captions had a higher retention rate of lecture content. And you'll see the numbers here, 71% of the students without hearing difficulties use captions, where a whopping 90% of students said that captions help them learn more effectively. EDUCAUSE released an article showing that captions not only benefit the deaf and hard of hearing, but also non-native speakers, those with learning disabilities, and students in noisy or distracting environments. So again, just more statistics backing up that for any college that's looking to do closed captioning for the deaf and hard of hearing, it's going to benefit a lot more than just those specifically with hearing loss. And lastly, the Journal of Educational Psychology published their findings regarding active engagement. And they said that students who engage with captions tend to spend more time processing information, which leads to deeper learning. So we know the captions can benefit just about any student or individual with or without hearing loss. Now, without any further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest to find out how she implemented remote captioning and remote learning really with her campus, California Baptist University.
Awesome. Thank you, Tony. Hi, everyone. My name is Amiyah Lee. I'm the Disability Services Coordinator at California Baptist University. And I've been in this role for a little over a year now. And so just in general, I am here to help facilitate access to the university's programs and services for students with disabilities. And one of my main responsibilities is to oversee our captioning services. We provide captioning as an accommodation for students who are hard of hearing and need to utilize that to access lecture content so they're receiving the same information that their peers are receiving. And so initially we used in-person CART captioners before partnering with Aberdeen. And these in-person CART captioners would be at the campus physically transcribing the lecture using their tools to facilitate that accommodation. However, we found that this was very costly, and with the 2-hour minimum requirements they had, or sometimes they required a team of captioners to come in for longer classes, it was just getting a bit too expensive for our department. So literally in the first couple months of me being in this role, I was tasked with finding another option. And so, as I was exploring other options, I learned that our university's classrooms are equipped with technology that allows for remote learning. And so, our classrooms were fitted with this technology to facilitate remote learning during the pandemic, actually. And essentially, let's say you might have like the professor physically in the classroom um, here at the university. They would be teaching, but they would have the option to have students who are, in the safety of their own homes to remotely conference in to the classroom to get the lecture. And so when I found out, okay, we have this technology, how can we utilize that for captioning? I learned that we can have a captioner from Aberdeen remotely conference in to the classroom to hear the audio and then transcribe the lecture for the student. So I'm happy to kind of show you all how we kind of make this happen here at CBU and kind of just walk you through our workflow and everything from there.
I love it. Thank you so much, Amiyah, for that kind of background. I thought it was interesting the first time we spoke, how you mentioned some of the processes that were implemented during the pandemic, since everybody was remote, just to make sure before captioning was even, the first thought. It was just how do we get students to engage when everyone is remote, not in the classroom, and how do we make those classrooms have, what kind of equipment do we use? What microphones are we going to use? And yeah, and we're going to hop into it right now and kind of explain some of the questions from the technical setup to how do we get everyone to buy in. And let's start in the beginning and just kind of explain what happens. So from the very beginning, you're getting ready to start the semester, you have a student that enrolls in a class, and for whatever reason, they say, hey, I am requesting CART or communication access real-time translation, which can be interchangeable with, live captioning or real-time captioning. What are the steps from the moment you get that notification, Amiyah, to make sure that the accommodations are in place, before the class starts from, hey, I know I need to do this to now the students coming into class and they want to make sure that they're ready to go and that they're, being able to read the captions. What do you do from there?
Yeah, no, a great question. The first thing I do from there is to get in contact with the faculty. And so I'm contacting professors, alerting them that there will be a captioning need in their particular course.
Mhm.
And so from there, I'm providing them with instruction on how to utilize the technology in the classroom so that they can um, kind of be the ones to admit the captioners um, into their or to sorry to remotely get the captioners to conference into their lecture. So I'm providing them these instructions and kind of alerting them of this need via email. And I often open myself up to questions. I'm often on the phone with professors, just giving them a little more details. One thing I do request from the professors beforehand are their WebEx links. So that is the video conferencing tool that we use to ensure that the captioner can remotely come into the classroom. The other thing I request from them is a copy of their syllabus.
Okay.
And this is twofold. So, one, it's for the captioners. I can send them a copy so they have just another resource of what key terms are going to be used in the class and they're more familiar with the type of content they'll be transcribing. This is also helpful for me because I can know when professors are canceling class or don't plan to have class, and that way I don't schedule the captioners on those days. And then the final thing I do as I'm alerting professors is I let them know, hey, you're welcome to set up a meeting with me so I can demonstrate how to use the technology. And I generally invite someone from our IT department to help demonstrate that as well. And I do that because even though professors were trained on how to use the technology during the pandemic, we're kind of several years out from then. So it's just a nice refresher if they don't feel as comfortable as they used to using the technology.
Nope, for sure. That is perfect. So now you have everyone kind of on board. They know that it's coming. and the accommodation's been requested. Can you explain a little bit about kind of what the workflow looks like from you have the request to now you're providing the actual captioning service? I know you mentioned that you sent an email to the professor, and I heard you say WebEx is kind of the software you use
Mhm.
for that. And then can you kind of explain, give us a little background on how everything is set up from you're telling this, the professor that they have to make the request? Is there stuff that the professor needs to know to be educated on how to turn on the WebEx, how to turn on the microphone, things like that? Just give a little background about kind of what the workflow looks like from the faculty standpoint,
Yeah.
from, when the professor knows that there is going to be a student in their class that is, deaf or hard of hearing, or at least requesting real-time captioning.
Hmm. Yeah. I try to alert the professors of this at least, and again, it depends on the timing of the semester, but I try to let them know at least 2 to 3 weeks in advance before classes start. Um, that way, they have time to send over their WebEx link, like the one they want to open up and use for the remote captioning. So that gives them a little bit of time and also gives us some time to set up that meeting if they need to review how to use the technology. But when they're physically in the classroom, like first day of class, essentially what they're doing is they're going in, they're hooking up um, their either their personal computer or using the desktop computer in the classroom to set up their WebEx link. And so essentially, it's just like opening like a personal meeting room on WebEx, or if any of you use Zoom, it's kind of similar to opening up a personal meeting room on Zoom. But once they open that up, um, I've already sent that link to the captioner, so the captioner should be waiting for them in that room. And so once the professor is opening up the WebEx link, they admit the captioners, ensure they're unmuted, and they can go about teaching in their class as normal. In terms of audio, like the microphones are set up um, at a podium that's in the classroom. So we just ask them to stand close to the podium when they're lecturing to have a clear audio feed. And
And
essentially, that's the process.
and the WebEx actual meeting, the student, my understanding, the student's not in the WebEx meeting, right? The WebEx is just to set up to get the audio from that microphone on the podium or on the professor over to us, right? Or
Correct.
to the captioner.
Correct. Yeah, the student does not utilize that WebEx link at all.
Okay. And I know you mentioned, so now you have the WebEx link, which works coincide kind of with the Cisco room kits, which I guess is what you're using to set up the classroom.
Hmm.
What is a Cisco room kit? I know we talked about it a little bit, but can you explain if somebody else was interested and they said, hey, I want to use a Cisco room kit, what is it? How does it work? How does it plug in? What equipment is it? And yeah, how would you go about implementing that in a classroom?
Yeah, definitely. Um, we have some pictures on the next slide, so I can kind of share. So this first picture you're looking at, a Cisco kit, it's kind of like multiple pieces of technology kind of spread out across the classroom. So the first thing you'll have is this little tablet um, in the classroom. And I want to preface, I wasn't necessarily working at the university when these were set up. These are mainly set up with IT.
Okay.
And so if anyone's interested, I would recommend sharing like, hey, there's this Cisco kit technology, and asking your IT team how they can set it up. But essentially, there's this tablet, and it's hard to see, but there's a button with the word WebEx, so they can click on that button and actually just either type in their meeting link, um, and once they click on that, they can open it up, and
Oh, cool.
essentially it connects to the desktop computer that's in the classroom. And so that way they can kind of use that to unmute themselves or, just kind of admit the captioners, etc. And then next to this, you will see the Cisco Kit camera. Now, we don't necessarily use the camera for captioning, we only need audio. But if in the event that there was someone, like a student, who was remotely conferencing into the classroom, this camera could be used to show the student what's going on in the classroom. So they'd be able to see the professor and a few students in the class. But we
So
mainly use the
if the
audio.
student was in class or not in class, let's just say the person who requested accommodations isn't in the class one day or they take class remotely, they would be able to use that camera, the same
Mhm.
WebEx link. It would kind of work the same as far as
Right,
for them actually viewing the captions, correct?
correct.
Okay, cool.
So yeah,
Oh,
I would say the majority of our classrooms are equipped with the Cisco room kits. We also have something called integrated classrooms. That's not necessarily a Cisco kit; it's just a separate technology, but it operates pretty much the same way. Um, so yeah, there's a camera. That TV you see in the background would be an opportunity for even the classmates to see those who are remotely conferencing in, kind of like the little boxes you see on the screen. So they'd be able
mhm.
to see that on the TV. And if you go to the next slide, there's a similar tablet in these integrated classrooms that they can use to connect their computer and then set up their WebEx link or WebEx
So
meeting room.
So what's the main difference? So you have the Cisco, the WebEx kits, which is setting up the classroom for remote learning, and then you have the integrated classroom. Is there one that's better than the other or preferred, or is there a major difference between the two? Like is one stationary, it's always in the class and it'll always be there, and one's just kind of, hey, I need to set up the class? Like what's the difference between an integrated classroom and a WebEx kit at California Baptist?
I would say it's not too much of a difference in terms of functionality. To my understanding, only two of our buildings have the integrated classrooms, and I believe those kind of just set up um, differently for whatever reason. I think the Cisco kits were, since they had to buy more of them, I guess to facilitate that access in all classrooms during the pandemic, it
Mhm.
was a little less expensive to go that route instead of using this integrated classroom.
And what is like, I know we talked about the Cisco, the WebEx kits, like the actual equipment that was there. Do you know what equipment is like if somebody said, hey, I want to make my classroom an integrated classroom, what do I need to buy? Do you know what equipment they use, or is it, or could it vary from class to class?
It's pretty much the same. It's just the tablet and the camera, and I can always send over a link too. But if you Google Cisco kits, it actually just comes together like in this, I guess, a packet or a kit. That's why they're called. So you could buy these pieces together, and then IT could set it up in the classrooms.
I love it. Okay, so that's kind of the equipment that people will need to set up the class to make it actually physically possible to do captioning or any sort of remote learning. Let's get into like getting buy-in from the faculty and the admin there. How do you get everyone, I guess, on board is my question. Like you have the staff and professors and you have people who might say, you know, okay, I have to do this accommodation. What all is involved? What's your process anyways, as far as telling everybody from your department to, to the actual professor?
hmm Yeah, it I we have the pleasure of having a really good relationship with our higher administration, like the provost office, and the provost at our university mainly oversees the faculty. So kind of whatever the provost is backing, like the faculty kind of has to go along with it. And
Sure.
so um, actually the request to kind of decrease our spending on captioning was coming from the provost office. And so um, telling them like, hey, we're using this remote captioning, we're going to need the assistance from professors to really implement this in real time and when they're having class, um, letting them know that beforehand and just getting their support has been extremely helpful. Um, and so generally, we don't have a lot of pushback from faculty. Sometimes they may feel like, oh, this is a little bit inconvenient. But when I kind of share with them, like, hey, we have to do this, this is something our administration um, wants us to utilize this type of captioning service. And then two, it is to support students in your class who are deaf and hard of hearing. And I try to explain to them, we want to give them access to the same information, that one of their peers who's not hard of hearing is receiving, so that they can succeed and do well in their course. And so once I kind of explain those things, and help the professor have an understanding of why we're taking this approach, it's a lot easier for them to say, okay, they kind of get over the inconvenience of it and start to implement it.
Oh, that totally makes sense. So I'm a professor who has never had a student who's requested accommodations before. We've talked, you sent me the email. I said, okay, cool. Like, we're going to do this. I'm on board. What extra steps or tasks do I need to do? Like, what's required of me as the professor to make sure that it's successful for the student who is, asking for the real-time captioning? Like, is there
Yeah,
anything extra that I have to do that, another professor doesn't have to do that, before class, during class, or after class?
I think the only extra thing before class is just setting up that WebEx meeting room and admitting the captioner. But from there, after that, it's business as usual. I think the only thing is just standing closer to the podium or to the mic where the mic is located, so that there's a clearer audio feed. But those are pretty much the only extras that are required.
That sounds simple enough. Um, so in a perfect world, everything runs smoothly. It's very easy. We know it's not a perfect world. Sometimes there are technical issues or just
Mhm.
challenges that come up. You and I talked about it, but if you can share a little bit about how do people get prepared in case something goes wrong? What's some of the most common things that happen during a class that might, make it challenging for the remote accommodations? And
Mhm.
just in your experience, what are kind of some of the things not only people should look for, but expect that are going to happen? And then how do you kind of combat that?
Yeah. So I would say yes, we definitely had some technical issues. Um, Really, no fault of anyone, just things happen. And so, one of the main issues is sometimes the mic doesn't work. And so, or the mic might be a bit choppy. So, there's audio coming through, but it's not very clear. And so, the captions are, kind of sporadic.
Okay.
So, in this case, there are a couple of things we can do. The first thing, I always let professors know that they can call IT during their class. And there's a telephone in each of our classrooms that they can use. They just call their extension and just let them know, hey, I'm having trouble with this. Usually, someone will be able to come in from IT to get that fixed right then and there. However, if let's say there's just a lot of issues on campus and IT is working on a separate issue elsewhere, we have a backup plan in place. And so essentially, all students with captioning services are also given the accommodation to record lectures. And so, in the event that the captioning um, wasn't ideal during their in-person lecture, then I would have them just send me the recording, and I would give that recording to our representatives at Aberdeen, and they could create a transcription of what was said. And so that way, there's still that supplement to the things that they may have missed during the in person lecture.
That's awesome because you're probably not going to know, or you might not know during the class, hey, the audio was bad or something was difficult or the captions
Mhm.
for whatever reason weren't coming across very well. Do you ever hear from the student or do you check in with a student that is requesting accommodations to find out what their experience is? Like, are the captions efficient for what they're doing? or is there any way for the student to kind of let you know if anything is, not working the way it's supposed to?
Yes, I have a very open line of communication with my students using this service, and I let them know to always reach out to me if they feel like something's not working with them. And so thankfully, they haven't mentioned that Aberdeen is not working for them. They actually really like it. And so I check in with them a lot during the beginning of the semester because I know that's when everything's kind of new for professors. So there may be a little bit more hiccups then.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, once I see that things are going pretty well in the beginning, I kind of check in with them maybe once a month just to make sure everything's good. Um, I will mention actually just a little story that happened this semester. Actually, we had a professor who was just really struggling using the technology, and so it actually got to a point where one of our students wasn't really receiving captioning for maybe about a week or two, just because the professor just couldn't set it up and they weren't calling IT to get the help. And so in that case, we actually um, did go in and put in an in-person captioner.
Okay.
So I would say sometimes we do have to pivot because it really is all about the need of the student and fulfilling that. That's our first and foremost goal. So I would say don't be afraid to pivot. If something doesn't work out completely.
Nope, that makes sense. And we've had a similar situation where we actually talked to our live writer, the person who was providing the captions, and she said, "Hey, the audio is just, I'm struggling writing it because the captions are only as good as the audio that we receive." And we
Mm-hmm,
reached out to the school and we looked into it. And it turned out, even though the professor had a lapel mic that was supposed to be perfect, the way that it was set up was we were getting audio from the laptop, which was kind of in the middle of the room, not like where the professor was.
mm-hmm,
And it was like, okay, problem solved, light bulb went off. We changed it, and all of a sudden everyone was happy. The captions improved, the stenographer could hear everything.
mm-hmm.
But without that communication from the stenographer, like if the student didn't say anything or the professor didn't, we would never know.
Right.
So I think, yeah, I'd like to reiterate your point. Like if you are constantly checking in with the faculty, with the student, and with, the provider of the captions, it does help because equipment, as we all know, doesn't always work the way it's supposed to. So that is awesome that you are checking in with, the professor and the student, making sure everything is working. I know we skipped over, or we didn't skip over, you mentioned an email that was sent out to the professor, just letting them know that a student had accommodations. We're going to put that in the chat if it's okay with you, Amaya, so that other people attending can maybe look at that template and think of, hey, this is what I want to write to a professor, letting them know that a student has requested accommodations. So we'll make that available. And then I think we're just going to open it up to Q&A and just see, what questions other people have. And if it's for you or for me, we'll answer them to the best of our ability. So got a couple questions coming in here. Okay, Amaya, what do you do if a professor says he or she doesn't want to be recorded? Does that ever happen? So the professor, just for whatever reason, is that a thing? Like, do they say, hey, I don't want my information out there. I don't want to be recorded. What do you do in that situation?
Yeah, I would say in that case, I have to reiterate that it is an accommodation. And so with the accommodations, we do need to basically abide by them and honor them. I reassure the professors as well that we are telling students the recording is for personal use only, and they sign off on an agreement stating that it will only be for their personal study and they will not share it without the public or without the professor's consent.
Oh,
Um,
perfect.
and also, professors are given a copy of that agreement as well. So that usually alleviates the concern. But again, we do have to implement accommodations. We don't necessarily have an option really. So that's kind of how I approach that.
That totally makes sense. And it's good to hear too that the student's kind of signing something saying, yeah, I'm not going to use this outside of, without the professor's approval. This one came in, it says, Amaya, are the class recordings posted somewhere for the students to review afterwards? And do you have the live stream captions corrected or fixed up to make it, let me read the whole thing, to make it perfect before posting to your learning management platform? So yeah, is the video recorded somewhere or do you get the captions fixed up or do you provide them with the transcript from the class the way it was?
Oh, good question. So in terms of recordings, so with recordings, when we have that accommodation, it's the student recording on their personal device. So they kind of store them on their own computer or tablet. That's not posted to the learning management system. In terms of the transcripts, so a transcript is sent to the student directly from Aberdeen. And so I believe they're already fixed up. They're already edited and good to go once it's sent to the student.
Okay. Which, yes, I know from, where I stand in Aberdeen, yes, we'll get the transcript from the stenographer. We'll kind of format it or clean it up the way it needs to look, do a spell check and then send it either to you to give it to the student or to the student directly. And that's included with anytime we caption anything. And the other question I got here was, is there a delay in the captions if the writer's remote versus like being there in the classroom? And my answer to that is no. Like we have Jennifer on right now that's doing the captioning. She's remote, she's not here. And it's the same as getting the audio. Like you and I are talking, we're not in the same room. We're getting the audio in the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that it goes back is going to be through a URL or a link that the student's going to view. So really, there's no difference in delay as far as like if someone's there or not. It's more of if the class isn't mic'd up and maybe there's not good audio, things like that, that might be the time you want to have, right, a writer in person there with the student because there's no integrated classroom, there's no Cisco WebEx kit, there's no microphone. Okay, then the stenographer needs to be there in the classroom. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'll add that's never been an issue that we ran into or that I have heard expressed from students either.
okay, well, that is a good thing. Yeah, I know from us, the majority of everything we do is remotely. However, every once in a while, we'll have someone there. But yeah, no, that's all the questions we had sent in. And Amaya, I want to thank you for your time and your information, giving us a little background about how you do what you do, because when people ask me the question, I can't always answer it. So it was great having you on here, kind of explaining how California Baptist University provides real-time captioning for their students.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Nope. Thank you for being here. And if anyone else has any questions afterwards, contact information's up there. Please reach out and let me know. All right, Amaya, have a good one.
Awesome. Bye.
Bye.